Our next unit is Unit 17 in our supplement book, which comes from Grammar and Beyond, Level 3. The next unit is Direct Speech and Indirect Speech. Direct speech is on page 82 in our supplement book. We have already discussed direct speech. We had a grammar presentation about direct speech. So please remember that you can read through the rules. You can access the rules here. You can also find resources online. But the important thing is that direct speech consists of a reporting clause, that's, for example, Donald Trump said, and the person's exact words. The exact words that they said. You cannot make any changes if you use quotations. Let's take a look at page 85 in our grammar book. This video is going to focus on our indirect speech. Indirect speech tells what someone said in another person's words. Indirect speech is also called reported speech. I would like to emphasize that this grammar is most often used in speaking or in stories in books. It's possible. This grammar, part of it is used in academic writing, but we will also look at some academic reporting when we do not follow these exact rules. So we're going to take a look at this first, and this is a speech grammar. It's a spoken grammar. And then later we will look at how we report what someone says in our academic writing. So let's keep the academic reported speech and our indirect speech separated. So if we look at the first example, Donald Trump said, "Money was never a big motivation for me." In this one, we can see that money was, so the past is what he used when he said this in the past. And then me means Donald, because he is the person speaking. In indirect speech, when we report about what Donald Trump said, we have Donald Trump said that money had never been a big motivation for him. We'll notice that the verb grammar changed and the pronoun grammar also changed. Forming indirect speech. An indirect speech statement consists of a reporting verb, such as say, in the main clause, followed by a that clause. The word that is optional and is often omitted or deleted or skipped over when speaking. We can look at the first example. She said, "The boss is angry." These are her exact words. The boss is angry, but she said that in the past. So we keep is because in the moment when she said it, that was true. When we report it, we say she said that the boss was angry, because now I am telling the story about what she said in the past. Again, this is usually most common in spoken. We use this grammar all the time when we are speaking. Imagine your friend comes to class and says, "The teacher said that," and then you would use this kind of spoken reporting grammar. So we have to pay attention to this spoken reporting grammar. Tense shifting in indirect speech. After a past verb in the reporting clause, the verb form in the indirect speech usually changes. The verb shifts to express a past time. We saw this in this example. She said is. These are her exact words. But when we report about it, we use was, because she said that the boss was angry. We do not know if the boss still is angry. She said that the boss was angry. In the moment when she said these words, the boss is angry, that was true. So we want to keep the time in line with its relationship to the main clause. So we have to decide if it's two things in the past, if it was true at the time when she said it, or maybe it's something that was the past before he said it. So we have to pay attention to the relationship between the main clause, someone said something, and the grammar that we need in our noun clause for our indirect speech. We have a few examples here, and it just shows you that, for example, if the direct speech had present, the indirect speech might change to past. If the direct speech had present progressive, you would change it to past progressive. If the direct speech had past, you would move it back to past perfect. If the direct speech has present perfect, you would move it back to past perfect. I have a question. What if our direct speech has past perfect? The indirect speech, there is no past perfect perfect. You cannot move any further into the past than the past perfect, so it would just stay as past perfect. We might actually add an adverb, and I can bring some examples to class. We might add an adverb to this one to make it already, so we can give it even more emphasis that it's before the other action. The following forms usually change in indirect speech. Will becomes would. We have already discussed this in our noun clause grammar. We know that the past form of will is would. We talked about this in our that clauses when we were talking about grammar time. Because our main clause is in the past, we must use the past form. So he will, this was the words that he said at that time, talking about the future from now. And then when we report it, he said that he would. So he's thinking about the future, but our whole sentence is in the past. She said that they are going to hire more people. She said that they were going to. We already studied this, so if it's be going to, it becomes were going to or was going to. Can becomes could. May becomes might. So the important thing to remember here is when we have reported speech, you cannot use these forms because we need the past form. You cannot say the teacher said that they can if you're reporting what the teacher said, unless it's true all the time, which is actually on the next page. The form of should, might, and ought to, and could all say the same because there is no further past form. So let's take a look a little bit further down. He should go home. The boss said that he should go home. The last rule is do not change the form of the verbs in general truth or facts, or we could also write the word universal truths. We talked about this. Martin Luther was a great man. She said that Martin Luther King Jr. was a great man. So had been tells us that it's before she said it. And it's actually incorrect in this because we want to present this as a fact. This one is not incorrect, but if we, the writer, want to highlight that Martin Luther King was a great man, we make it sound more like a general truth or a fact. For your home practice, please do exercise 3.1 in your book. 10 shifts in indirect speech. Read the quotes about a psychology course, then rewrite each quote as indirect speech. Sometimes more than one answer is possible. So we have our quoted speech. We're paying attention particularly to the words inside the quotations. This is our direct speech, and this is like if we're telling a story. So really the thing that was said is Psychology 101 includes a unit on motivation. And then we are practicing our reported speech. So we're doing it written to practice this verb shifting, and later during class we will practice